Welcome to Rowlett on the Water on the Move. I'm Todd Gottel.
And I'm Lynda.
Welcome to the April 2012 edition. This show is produced entirely by city staff and can be seen on Rowlett's own television network, RTN 16. It's shown 4 times daily, 12 a.m., 12 p.m., 6 a.m., and 6 p.m. You can also find us on our YouTube channel, and the name is Rowlett Texas Video. You can also find us on Rowlett.com on our streaming video page. Once again, we've got a great show.
Yes, sir, we do. We've got some topics to talk about. It's amazing how we've gone from around Halloween thinking we were going to be in stage watering to now we're in a water shortage standpoint, not a water drought standpoint. We'll be talking a little bit more about that.
Well, we're going to, well, of course, we have some construction updates from you as well.
You bet.
And we've got an interview with Barry Young of Encore, who's going to talk about tree trimming. We're actually going to go outside and meet with him and actually do some tree trimming. We're going to talk a little bit about Encore's project.
And we're also going to check in on how Realize Rowlett 2020 Phase 2 campaign's going along.
So first and foremost, let's talk about the water. Okay. It is. Our drought is over.
Yes.
I drive by the lake, it's full. So
yes.
Why do I have watering restrictions? That is the big question. I get asked that question, Lynda, all the time.
Well, and it's a great question. As I said earlier, I believe it was actually the November show. You and I were actually standing in the old Main Street roadbed in Lake Ray Hubbard, and we were really talking about a very serious concern at the time, and that was we really thought we were going into this spring and this summer in a drought type situation.
And that lake bed is probably about 7 feet below where the bridge was. And driving by, even that this morning, going by, you see just the top of that bridge, and it shows you how much the lake has actually filled up. So when I drive by, I go, well, the drought's over, the water restrictions are right, you know, and that's not the case.
You got that half right. The drought is over, but the water restrictions aren't. And the reason for that is this. The city of Rowlett buys its water from the North Texas Municipal Water District, and as we have told you over the past several months on this television program, and is that the North Texas Municipal Water District has had to quit using one of their main sources of water, Lake Texoma, due to an invasive zebra mussel infestation. And the Lake Texoma accounts for about 28% of their water. So as a result of that, we've moved from dealing with the drought issue to dealing with a very legitimate water supply concern. The North Texas Municipal Water District has modified their restrictions, and so now we're to watering once a week, and we'll be able to do that, we believe, through the summer. And what I would encourage everyone to do is to go out to the website, www.rowlett.com, and there will be information on what day you can water. And essentially what we've done is we've modified our water management plan, and we will encourage you to water on a specific day based on the last number of your house number. And that will allow us to manage the pressure in the system and ensure that entire subdivisions have water and not see a diminish in pressure because everybody in the subdivision is watering on their trash day.
And I think that makes a lot of sense. You know,
yes.
there are many times people will say, well, everybody's watering the neighborhood and my sprinkler heads aren't popping up. So by doing this, it's fair to everybody, gives everyone an opportunity to get equal water, so to speak, and it works out real well. And, you know, we've even talked about, you know, I have a terrific neighbor, as most of you know, and he came out and helped me set my sprinkler system. So we water multiple times at night, very, very short periods, so you actually have the ability to get a lot more water in there without any runoff. And it works out very, very well.
It does. So the bottom line is that we are out of a drought. We're very grateful for all of the rain Mother Nature has bestowed on us the last couple of months, but we are dealing with the water shortage issue. So we will remain in stage 3 with watering once a week. And essentially we're going to ask you not to do any landscape watering between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. But if you want to water your foundation, or you have new landscaping or new plantings, you can water those for 2 hours on any day by either doing handheld watering or placing a soaker hose or a dedicated zone using a drip irrigation system. So there are still opportunities for you to take care of your single largest investment, and that's your home.
So how about swimming pools?
Well, we would ask you not to drain your swimming pool and only refill what we would consider to be normal water loss, so you can continue to enjoy that. We have halted non-essential water use by the city, including street cleaning, vehicle washing, and we aren't running our ornamental fountains that you see around town.
So you may be asking yourself, or I would ask myself, so when can I water?
Well, if you'll go to the website, as I said, at www.rowlett.com, you will find a calendar that will show when you can water based on the last number of your address. We'd encourage you to print that off and put that on the front of your refrigerator, and that way you'll always have the answer to that question.
Well, Lynda, you know, it certainly is good news. We're not out of the woods yet.
That's right.
You know, and there's going to be a lot of questions. We have several work sessions talking about the utility fund. We have several work sessions talking about the drought situation there, and hopefully we'll be able to get this corrected soon. So looking forward to it.
Hope it keeps raining.
Thanks for the update. Why don't we provide the viewers with an update on the gun range? I know there's been a lot of activity going on, and people are just asking, tell me what's going on.
Okay. To refresh your memory, if you're not familiar with the gun range case, back in February, we had 2 citizens whose homes physically had bullets go through roofs and exterior walls. One landed in the dining room of one home, and another bullet landed in the bedroom of a 5-year-old little boy. That represented the 3rd incident in 2 years that the city of Rowlett had experienced from random gunfire that we believe came from the gun range. At that point in time, the city of Rowlett filed an injunction in court to ask that all operations at the gun range cease and desist until they could be brought up and operated in a safe manner that did not jeopardize the safety of our citizens. And we talked about this on our last month's program, and just before we went to court for our hearing, we reached a settlement with Mr. Day. And as a part of that settlement, Mr. Day agreed to do several things. The first was to raise the height of the berms to 20 feet. Also was willing to put in some steel plates and some baffling that will reduce what is known as blue sky. So when you're physically standing in the shooting lane, you shouldn't be able to see blue sky. And he also agreed to add some additional personnel at the range. Mr. Day agreed to be able to do this in 30 days. And so we signed the settlement agreement, and off to the races we went. Well, Mr. Day absolutely did in good faith approach the city of Garland very promptly in order to make those improvements, and has since determined that it's way more involved than anybody really anticipated, that 20-foot berms in the floodplain require some design work and some permit and approval, and it will take longer than 30 days. And so the city of Rowlett has agreed to a 150-day extension as Mr. Day works with the city of Garland to ensure all of the permits are appropriately obtained so that the work can be completed. So we continue to monitor the situation. The one thing that Mr. Day did agree to in the interim is that all rifles that are allowed to shoot at the rifle range during this time will be less than 30 caliber in size. And since that time, we've not had any more issues, and Mr. Day has been very vigilant in making sure that that happens, and we appreciate his partnership and support and making sure that his gun range operates safely and it doesn't jeopardize the safety of our citizens.
Well, and I believe he's also added some additional staff as well to
Yes.
make sure that the range is monitored a little bit better. So, Lynda, thanks for the update on that. We certainly appreciate it, and I'm sure there'll be more to come
Yes.
as the progress continues. How about we move to Pecan Grove Trail? I know there's some activity going on there, and you've got an update for us and some good news.
You bet. We have become the official walking trail of the American Heart Association. So our Pecan Grove Trail has earned what I consider to be a pretty impressive designation. You know, the Parks Department is really embracing wellness, and we've talked many times that as the school system changes its curriculum and focuses on the task test, there's less time for physical education. And so we really are becoming our public's physical education program, if you will. And we spend a lot of time with our fitness center and programs and athletics to give all of us that type of activity. And we were absolutely delighted to learn that the American Heart Association appreciated some of the work that we're doing and designated the Pecan Grove Trail as an official walking trail. And I don't know if our residents have been out there and walked it, but it is a really, really amazing trail.
It really is well done. I've walked that many, many times, and it's just, there's a couple of trails in there that you basically, depending on the route that you want to take in terms of the length, it's just a nature trail. It's very, very well done. It's very peaceful, and it's typically very quiet back there. So if you have an opportunity to go and visit, check out our community center. It's definitely worth the visit.
Now, I believe you went on location.
I did. I absolutely did. I had an opportunity where I met with Encore. I met with Representative Barry Young. He's the area manager for Encore, and we learned about tree trimming. And it's really interesting because, a lot of people complain about it, but we want power to our homes. And so it's sort of the necessary evil that Encore has to come out and be able to do the appropriate trimming. And we had an opportunity to interview Barry Young and talk to him about what Encore actually does and their role and responsibility to our community.
All right.
So let's take a look at the video. Hi, I'm Mayor Todd Gottel, and I'm here on Kirby Street, and I have a special guest today, Barry Young with Encore. Hello, Barry. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Thanks so much for being on the show.
Glad to be here. Honor. Thank you.
So, Barry, you are the area manager for Encore, and we're here today to talk about the tree pruning that Encore is going to be doing in the month of April.
Yes, correct.
So why don't you tell me a little bit about, some of the history that goes behind the tree pruning? Because, we drive through the city, we hear a lot of folks will say, oh, they're pruning again, and there's really sort of a method behind the madness in the sense it's really about keeping the power lines up, correct?
That's correct, Mayor Gottel. It's about safety and reliability. Encore has a need to provide safe and reliable electric service in our community, and this is a function of that. We come through as the trimming is needed when outages become a problem in a certain area, and we take care of the trees at that time.
So how are people notified? In other words, if we take a look behind us here, we have some very large trees, we have power lines behind us. At what point does Encore come out and basically say it's time to actually do some pruning in that area?
As the outages become a problem, it'll appear on one of our reports that we get that indicate the feeders that we're having the most trouble with, and as we come out to trim, we will notify customers about 5 days in advance if they're going to be affected.
So they'll get a written notice or something on the door?
They will get a written notice on a door hanger, and they have the option. It has a number on there that they can call, and they'll have the option to call us ahead of time if they want to look into other options that are available.
Sure. Now, it's interesting because we get a lot of calls from different citizens. They'll say, I don't want them cutting my trees. I don't want them cutting the trees. What options do they really have? Because my understanding that you have the authority by the state of Texas to be able to prune those trees back to maintain the power lines, correct?
We do, but most importantly is we don't want anyone to get hurt. And you absolutely don't want anyone trimming the lines that don't have any insulation on them, which are the ones typically out by the street or out by the alley. And so we want to trim those trees at least 7 feet back so that there's that safety barrier, and when the wind blows and the lines sway, they don't come into contact with the trees.
Sure. So are they your linemen actually doing the trimming, Barry, or are they actually specialists that actually do the tree trimming themselves?
We have special tree trimming companies that we contract with that are experts in that particular field. So they've been doing this for quite some time. They're well aware of what our needs are and what the requirements are by the cities and so forth. So it's a very good partnership that we have, and they do a very good job in getting our work done for us.
So one of the more commonly asked questions as it relates to the tree pruning, can I do the pruning myself then, or do we have some, in this case, an Encore specialist that really should be doing this?
Mayor Gottel, there's an Encore specialist that will come out and visit with the people if they contact us ahead of time, and they will look at the situation and advise them if it's okay to trim. In most cases, we don't want anyone trimming lines that do not have insulation on them. These would be the lines typically in the alley, out by the street, what we call open wire. Those are your high voltage lines, and you don't want anyone trimming on those particular lines, even if it's in the general area, because things can fall into the lines and hurt someone. So we want them to engage us first before they do that. Now, the ideal thing for people to do is to, when they first plant the tree, try to visualize how tall the tree will be at the peak of its growth cycle, and be sure to plant it far enough back away from the line so that we never have to touch the tree.
Well, that really kind of led to the next question, and I'd like to talk about how far back in just a minute, but how come they have to prune so much? You know, it's kind of interesting that when we hear from a lot of residents, I should say, that they call us and go, they're basically just destroying my trees. They're cutting this big V shape in the middle of the things, and why does it have to be so far? Why does it have to happen?
That's a very good question. If you can take an imaginary circle, 7-foot circle around the line, that is the target area that we like to get. Now, the problem you run into is that if there is no growth on the limb outside of that 7 feet, then we have to take the limb all the way back to the trunk in order to maintain the integrity of the tree. We don't want the tree to die, and if you trim a limb with no growth on it, then the limb will eventually die and it'll lead to the demise of the tree. So that's why you typically see the L's and the V shapes, and you see us go all the way back to the trunk on some trees.
It's difficult, Barry, because when you look at it, sometimes you see this tree that looked really, really nice, then all of a sudden you see this big V that's carved in the middle of it, and you go,
it is.
Is there something that we could have done to stop that? And do you have any suggestions there for homeowners that are there to say, is there a way to kind of get around having to prune that far back?
Yes, there is. There are options that are available to the homeowner, and of course every situation varies, but the lines can be undergrounded. Now, of course, there'll be a charge for that, or the lines can be moved horizontally in some cases in order to get enough clearance. But it's really on a case-by-case basis, and we need to look at it ahead of time. But if they will contact us, we'll be more than happy to come out and take a look at it for them.
And so what are the best tips? You know, if I'm thinking about planting a tree, and this is something that's very commonly happens, especially in our communities, you know, trees are replaced. What is the best rule in terms of planting the tree? I would think personally that you just look up, take a look at the power lines, and then at that point then you go so far back from that to ensure that when the tree gets to reach a certain age that it's not going to be in the top of the power lines or touching the power lines.
Very good. Well, Encore has a book that's called Know Before You Grow, and it's available on our website in PDF form, and it will actually give you detailed instructions on how to plant, and it also lists certain trees that are approved trees, native Texas trees, that will not grow to the height that would impact our lines and still offer some shade.
So are there any options that are available to the actual residents? I mean, are there any, I would think, providing that you keep the tree trimmed as it's growing and you're constantly aware of the power line is at a certain level, you can probably prohibit some of that from at some point from Encore actually coming out.
We use a method that is called directional pruning, and we actually prune to make the tree grow away from the lines, and that's something that homeowners can do when the tree is very young before it gets into that 7-foot radius that we talked about. The ideal thing to do is to prune it before it gets to that point and train it to grow away from the lines before the tree reaches maturity.
Well, I also think, you know, it's also good to contact your landscaper as well, because
absolutely,
when you're thinking about putting a tree in, that you contact your nursery, you bring an arborist out, or you talk to somebody that's an expert in trees and say, based on this particular spot, what's the best type of tree to plant? And also point out the fact that in this case you have power lines above, and you don't want to be in a situation where 5 years or 10 years down the road that has to be pruned back. All right, so Barry, I want to thank you today for coming out. We certainly appreciate you being here and spending some time to inform us about the tree pruning. For more information, we go to encore.com, correct?
That is correct, www.encore.com.
And there's a phone number as well?
There is a phone number. The phone number is 1-888-313-6862, and that's our service request line. If you have a door hanger and you want more information, just call that number and they'll be more than happy to help you.
Great. Well, thank you very much. I'm here with Barry Young, the area manager for Encore, and thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Mayor.
Take care.
Thank you. Great
Thanks.
to be here.
Well, Mayor, it looks like you and Barry had a great conversation, and I appreciate Barry sharing some wonderful resources, and I would encourage everyone to go out and visit the websites and the information that Barry offered.
Well, you know, it's really interesting, Lynda, because as I had mentioned before the video, you know, it is definitely a challenge with Encore. They try to do the best they can, but when you plant a tree directly underneath the power line, and it's real cute and small, and at some point, 10 years later, it grows and becomes a very large tree. At some point, they've got to trim it back.
You bet.
And it can interfere with the power, and in some cases, to taking that power in the home. So Barry did a great job in explaining to us, and I would encourage you, as you mentioned, to look at the websites and to call them if you have any questions.
Well, Mayor, we're going to segue to a commercial break, but I want to intro this because, you know, we're pretty passionate about volunteers, and we like them when we grow them young. And we've got a Cub Scout group, Pack 52, that really focused on what being good stewards of the environment is all about. And they did a clean Rowlett day. Happened to be on a Saturday, March 24th, and our creative producer, Drew Rist, went out and filmed them in action. And we are delighted when we see the youngest among us out giving back to their community. So please stay with us as we go to this commercial break.
My name is David Fudge. I'm Cub Master for Pack 52. Pack 52 is responsible for Keeley Elementary and Liberty Grove. Well, today we've got all our scouts out here from Pack 52. We're going to be cleaning up Chisa and all the way from Miller to Dalrock. We're cleaning up the streets. We have a sign that's down there that we're responsible for cleaning up that particular street, and it's been a while since we've done it, and we're going to let the boys step up today since it's a pretty day and clean up the roads. We're going to be having our safety vest on, guys, and you're going to be picking up gloves because we don't want to get germs on your hands. There's no telling what people have thrown out there. We'll go through here, and guys, tell them your name and what den you're in and whether you're a bear, wolf, tiger, or Weeblos.
Chase, Den 6.
I'm Mason Winton, Den 6. I'm in Weeblos 2, and I go to Keeley.
Dalton Fudge, Den 3, Keeley Elementary.
Nicholas Newcook, Den 3, Keeley Elementary.
Jalen Jones, Den 3, Keeley Elementary.
Connor Rediger, Den 2, Liberty Grove.
Aiden Wozlozik, Den 3, Kimberlin Academy.
You guys ready?
We're cleaning up trash on the side of Miller.
I would say, please don't do this because it helps pollute the earth.
We're picking up trash for the people who are littering. Different people that aren't really caring about the environment.
Amazed about how much trash is found on the ground and how people aren't taking care of our community this way. It's a good thing we've got boys like this to be able to do this for everybody. So.
And we're back. Lynda, let's move to our construction corner segment, and let's talk a little bit about what's going on in Rowlett.
You know, Mayor, every time we segue to the construction corner, I have flashbacks. You know, it's wonderful.
Notice I deflect over to you. We talk about construction. We just
You know, it's really wonderful that when we think back over the last couple of years at all of the amazing construction that we've actually witnessed and lived through and is complete, and what a joy PGBT is to actually get to ride on these
and
days.
we've accomplished a lot. I mean,
We
we
really
really
have.
have. And I think we're very diligent now in the way that we do the projects. We try to be extraordinarily respectful to the citizens, and you know, we've made a lot of progress.
We have, and I'm delighted that the items that we have on our construction corner are growing less and less. There was a time when it was 30 minutes
So,
of our
so
program.
are the residents of the community, by the way. So-
Well, we do have a couple of programs, a couple of projects we want to update you on. And the first is Rowlett Road Phase 2 that runs between Century Drive south to Miller Road. This is a project that we're delighted is being constructed by a local company, Tricon Construction, and they're just doing a great job with this project. It's way ahead of schedule, and we anticipate that it'll open at the end of May and the first part of June. And they really have done a great job of managing the construction. They are working every day that the sun is shining.
Well, they're way ahead of schedule.
Well, they are.
I mean, I think that's outstanding. And there's nothing better than be able to award a contract to a local company.
You bet. You bet. Another project that we want to update you on is the Merritt Road project. This is the expansion. It'll be a 4-lane divided highway that will connect Merritt Road at the Saxe exit with the Merritt Road Liberty Grove interconnector in Rowlett. And this project was recently bid. The contract has been awarded, and you can anticipate construction starting in May. And it's going to be an 18-month project, so we're delighted that that's kicked off. We're also delighted that Martin Drive has actually started construction, and this is Martin Drive between Lakeview Parkway and Industrial. It also is a project that we've been waiting on for some time, and it's going to be an important gateway into the DART light rail station that's scheduled to open in December, and we anticipate that Martin Drive will be completed about September, so just in time for the DART light rail station.
Well, and for those that are not familiar with Martin Drive, it's right next to the car wash. In
Yes.
between, there's an Eagle transmission and the Lakeview car wash, so it's right in between, and they've already started construction, so it's amazing how quickly they work, and we're looking forward to getting that done. Every day it gets one closer to DART finally opening.
You bet it does. Another project we want to update you on is our upper pressure plane that affects our water pressure. And over the last year and a half, we've been talking about that there's some areas here in town that had less than desirable water pressure, and we put together a construction project and have an interim solution, and we're delighted to say it's gone live. And as a result of that, our citizens in that area have seen a real significant increase in their water pressure, and we're delighted that that finally has happened, and their long wait is over, and we certainly appreciate all of their patience.
Well, we appreciate the hard work of your staff as well. I know they took a lot of effort and design work that went into this. We put a considerable amount of money into this, but we felt it was very, very, very important to make sure that we try to provide the absolute best service we can to the citizens.
You bet. You know, DART light rail is coming. I talk about we've waited 27 years for DART light rail, and it's just around the corner. We are actually going to be able to participate on the very first train ride for a test run in late April.
You know, to even hear that, it is absolutely amazing. We've got a date of December 3rd, 2012 is the official opening.
Yep.
But to be able to think about it, having a test run, which means the track is ready.
Yep.
Now, I know that now this is a test run. This is the first inaugural trial run that we're doing here, but I'm just thrilled with that, and I am so excited. We've waited a long, long time for this. Our citizens have paid in this for a long time, and at the end of the day, we're finally going to have light rail in the city.
You bet. And we will be actually filming our test run. So Drew will be taking the train with us, and at our program next month, you'll actually get to have a taste of what riding the train, the first train ride in Rowlett, was all about.
Well, we're certainly looking forward to that. Lynda, let's go to a commercial break.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Looking for these? You drive buzzed. It could be one very expensive ride.
First, you gotta make bail. Then pay me to get your car back.
Your insurance premiums will go through the roof.
And my legal fees just keep adding up. All told, it could end up costing you $10,000.
Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Welcome back. Well, we're here to talk a little bit about Realize Rowlett 2020. And why don't you provide us with an update, Lynda? We know we've got a lot going on. You know, this visioning project has been just a tremendous job by your entire staff, and we'll talk about that in just a second.
Well, you know, it's a really wonderful opportunity. We've talked for a number of months about the importance of making sure that we're as kind to our future as our past has been to us. And we've talked on this program many times that we've waited 45 years for PGBT, 27 years for DART. And when you really own the vision of our past and the citizens that have lived here before, and how passionate they were to ensure that we could diversify our tax base by utilizing transportation and access, it's really a wow moment, and it really speaks to the awesome responsibility we have to our future. And that's what excites me so about Realize Rowlett 2020 Phase 2, and that is the engagement of the public, the engagement of council, the engagement of staff, all of our stakeholders. Now that we are talking about it in terms of it's here, not that it's coming, what does that look like? And to your point, I am very proud of our staff, because we've worked very hard to ensure that the public knew about the process. And
you guys did a great job. I mean, I want to stop there for just a second and really acknowledge everybody on your staff that put the time and effort into this, because one of our key initiatives from a council perspective was how do we better communicate with the citizens. And we hear so many people will come back and tell us, I didn't know that, well, if I had known, I would have come, or I didn't know that was going on. I hear that all the time. And so one of the key initiatives was we need you to better communicate. And you guys went above and beyond on this to try to, you know, engage as many citizens as possible. And why don't you tell us about that?
Well, we put out big signs in the 4 areas that we were focused on. The first was downtown. The second is healthy living. That's the corridor along Highway 66, just as you are leaving Rowlett going into Rockwall, that's in conjunction with Lake Point Hospital. Woodside Living, that's a residential area that's been earmarked north of Liberty Grove between PGBT and Waterview. And then last but not least, our signature gateway that we used to refer to as our waterfront district, that's on the east side of PGBT out at the Point. And so we put out signs around those areas inviting the public that this town hall meeting was occurring on March 31st. And in addition to that, we sent out over 2,500 personal invitations to people that lived in the area, property owners in the area, encouraging them to come and engage in the conversation. And we were simply delighted by the turnout.
Well, you know, I'm really hard pressed to feel bad when someone says I didn't know about it, because I think the signs alone, all the signs in the medians are very clear. They look so official, as I said before, and I said you really have to stop and read them and say what's going on here. And then the fact that you took the time to send the letters out to the individual homeowners, I really think says a lot as well. Said, look, we want to personally invite you to come and join us and learn more about what's going on.
You know, the other thing that I really want to acknowledge and say job well done is to Aaron Jones, our planning manager, as well as Drew Rist, our video producer. We worked very hard to ensure that the citizens that participate in the process were educated on what we're striving to do and how you create great places and what elements go into making a great place. And there was a lot of work put into videos, because one of the things that we heard last year when we went through our planning process is that you got to pick a spot, an area, and you had to stay there. And what we heard from folks is, you know what, I'd like to have participated in other areas. And so it's difficult for us to be in multiple places at one time, but due to the use of great technology, we were able to tape videos and educate people on exactly what is Realize Rowlett 2020, exactly what is plan. What is exactly the elements that make up a great place? And we were able to film that, so it becomes an educational opportunity, and we were able to set each one of these areas up in their own individual room, with the exception of downtown, and we'll talk about that in just a moment, how we had a separate meeting for that. But it allowed people to come and engage in all of the areas if they wanted it, or just in the one that was particular, and as we learned from folks, everybody appreciated that. They learned something, and they shared with us their perspective, and hopefully learned something that they can go back and share with others.
Well, it certainly was a great event. It's going to
was.
continue to be a great project, and we look forward to just a lot of success out of this.
You bet. And for those of you that attended, we can't say thank you enough. And at this point in time, we're going to show you a video recap of the March 31st meeting. So if you weren't there, you can see what you missed.
Well, it was a great video, Lynda. I certainly enjoyed that. Let's talk about the upcoming events at the library.
Hi, I'm Kathy Lane with the Rowlett Public Library. Here's what's happening at your Rowlett Public Library during the month of April. Storytime for walking babies is every Monday at 10:30, and then at 11:30 it's storytime for lap-sit babies. These are great little story times. They're interactive between baby and caregiver, and they include songs, nursery rhymes, big books, peekaboo parachute play with bubbles, and there's a short playtime following each little story time. Storytime for toddlers is every Wednesday morning at 10:30. We have books and songs, action rhymes, finger plays, always a craft, parachute play with bubbles, puppets, and surprise guests. It's a very fun time for the children. Storytime for preschoolers is every Friday morning at 10:30. And of course there are wonderful books, songs, action rhymes, finger plays, but they have a little more activities than we do in toddler and baby storytime, which includes flannel stories, music and marching, puppets, of course a craft, and the parachute with bubbles. On April 14th at 2 p.m., Family Saturday presents Alice in Wonderland. You can make crafts based on the Alice in Wonderland characters, including Mad Hatter hats. Bring your camera and the Mad Hatter will be there. You can have your picture taken with him. Bilingual Spanish Storytime is Tuesday, April 17th at 10:30, and it's presented by Miss Miriam and Miss Carolina, and includes books and songs in Spanish. There are puppets, crafts, and much more. Teens and tweens may hang out with their friends in the library meeting room after school on Mondays to play video games, cards, and board games. Snacks are provided too. Make reservations beginning Monday, April 16th for the 6th Annual Parent-Child Tea Party. Dress in your Sunday best and enjoy beautiful music by harpist Juanito Riveras, vocals by the Rowlett Community Chorale, fashions and decor by Lynda's Unique Boutique on Main Street. The Knitting Club meets Tuesday evening, April 17th at 7 p.m. in the library conference room. The group meets the third Tuesday of the month, and beginners are more than welcome. There are also computer classes for seniors at the library April 17th, 18th, and 19th from 8:30 to 10 a.m. in conjunction with the Rowlett Senior Advisory Board. Space is limited to 18 participants. Call the library at 972-412-6161 to register. The City Manager's Book Club, led by Rowlett City Manager Lynda is Thursday, April 19th at 7 p.m. Chapters 20 through epilogue of the book, Team of Rivals, The Political Genius of Abraham Lincoln. It's by Doris Kearns Goodwin, and it will be discussed at the City Manager's Book Club. Enjoy good company and light refreshments. Storytime at McDonald's is presented Tuesday, April 24th at the Lakeview Parkway location between Cheesa and Dow Rock. GED tutoring is offered Monday and Wednesday in the evening from 7 to 8:30 and Tuesday and Thursday mornings 10:30 to noon. To sign up for classes or become a tutor, inquire at the reference desk. English as a Second Language, ESL, classes for beginners is held on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursday afternoons from 1 to 3 or Saturdays from 10 to noon. Classes for high beginners are offered Wednesdays from 1 to 3 and Monday evenings from 6 to 8. There's something for everyone at your Rowlett Public Library. We're located at 3900 Main Street. You can call us at 972-412-6161. Come see us.
And we are back. Let's take our final segment and talk about some of the upcoming meetings we have for Council and P&Z. So Council and P&Z meetings in April. Let's start with City Council. We meet the first and third Tuesday of every month. So in April, the meetings will be held on April 3rd and 17th. We encourage you to come and join us. And our planning and zoning meetings are held on the second and fourth Tuesday of every month. And that will be April 10th and the 24th for P&Z. So in closing, we want to thank all of you who have watched today's program to stay in touch with your government. We'd love to hear from you. Come and email us or call us with suggestions or concerns. Thanks to our communications director, Drew Rist, and Denise Perrin, who helped with today's broadcast. We look forward to seeing you again next month for another edition of On the Water, on the Move.